Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to Under the Arch Sports. I'm Eric Hobbs,
And I'm David Woldingen.
and the Matt Zollers era is about to begin as Mizzou takes on Texas A&M. Before we start talking about this game, please guys subscribe to the YouTube channel and find us on Facebook, Instagram, X, and Spotify. And I want to see some predictions in the comments. Let us know what you think is going to happen. All right, David. I think there's one real point here that I think is a credit to Missouri. We're going to talk about this video with, yeah, it'd be an upset if Missouri won, but it's not impossible. In the context of Matt Zollers, the true freshman, making his first ever start when he started the season as the third string quarterback. For comparison, last Saturday, I watched Nebraska play USC, and as soon as Dylan Raiola went down, Nebraska's offense, with their backup, their number two, mind you, they were lost. They could barely complete a pass. And people are having serious conversations about Missouri as a chance to pull the upset against an undefeated A&M team. I think that is a credit to just the quality of players on this team, and that goes to drink.
100%, and there's a couple reasons behind it. First and foremost, Mizzou's defense, which is
Yes.
number one in the conference by yards, not by points, but total offense or total defense, if you will. And I believe they're fifth in the country as well, which is just incredible. And considering how good like other teams like Auburn Tigers are on defense, like Missouri's doing better, which I honestly didn't expect to see, but they are. Uh, but the other thing I could say is you have Matt Zollers as a freshman quarterback who was a 5-star from Pennsylvania coming in here. But one thing that helps him out that people forget is he didn't come over the summer and fall camp. He spent a whole year here, basically. He came last January. So
Yep.
he's had time to integrate himself in this team with the playbook. Earlier in the year, he had time to work with first team when Peribula was dealing with some upper body injuries and stuff, and he couldn't practice. So he's had
Well,
time.
sorry to interrupt, but the
Yeah,
backup gets some reps with the starting offense as part of a normal practice. So he's been getting some reps with the ones ever since Horn went down.
but just his sheer ability and presence that I saw in the Vandy game, specifically as a pocket passer, I think might be what carries this offense to a new level that we might not have seen under Peribula, just because one, it's a different look, and teams right now don't have any film on Zollers. But two, it's a testament to the skill players around him who are able to adapt to his style. So it's really going to be fun to watch and see. Not saying they're going to go out and upset A&M because A&M is a really good team, but that little bit of unknown and the talent, as you said, all across the field with Missouri gives them a fighting shot. In all honesty,
Yeah, and I think it's worth noting that in the press conference this week, Drinkwitz was talking about, he was kind of asked, like, well, does the playbook change and everything? And the playbook itself, it's not like they're closing the back half of the playbook and only going with more basic plays. If Drinkwitz, coaches will say anything in a press conference, but he said that won't be the case. And that is partially due to the fact that, yeah, he was an early enrollee, Zollers was, and that lucky.
well, and
Now,
to build off that, kind of what you said, he kind of alluded to the fact that they can run different types of plays with him compared
yes.
to Peribula because Peribula was a running quarterback. Zollers is
Well,
more of a Zollers is more of a pocket passer. So the type of play calls they're going to have, while they're the same type of plays, are going to look totally different based on how he's going to run the offense.
Well, and Prebula just simply does not have the arm that Zollers appears to.
Yeah.
There was a zip on the ball in the Vandy game, at least, coming coming out of there from Zollers that there just wasn't from Prebula. So yeah, that there may be plays that maybe they are going to take more deep shots because Zollers can get the ball there better, more effectively. Now, a big part of that and Zoller's ability to replicate what we saw in that second half against Vandy will be Missouri's offensive line
Huh.
and how they hold up. Uh, you
Yeah.
know, I think we're in the same boat where run blocking they've been better, okay. Pass blocking, it's honestly the biggest concern is just simply missing assignments.
Yeah, 100%. And A&M has a doozy of a DN who's from Missouri, actually.
Yeah.
Cassius Howell out
Yes.
of Rockhurst over on the Kansas City side, who has just been tearing it up this year. So our tackles, especially, are going to be needing that extra help. The Zollers is going to have to be on his toes and hitting his hot route passes, quite honestly, because I don't know how much time he's going to have back there. A&M's defensive line is really good at getting sacks across the board. They have a bunch of guys with at least 2 sacks, so they got their work cut out for them this week.
Yeah, that A&M D line, it all by itself is a wagon. They lead the country in sacks. A&M does, and yes, there's linebackers and whatever else, blitzers. But yeah, a lot of that is the D line. A&M has 32 sacks, excuse me, in 8 games. They are averaging for the season 4 per contest. That 32 sacks is the most in America. All right. Teams 2 through 9, they have played 9 games and still don't have as many sacks as A&M. So they keep this up, they're going to have that title kind of claimed by some distance. For comparison's sake, Mizzou is tied for 13th in the country, so still pretty darn good. But yeah, A&M is all the better. And yeah, talk about pass blocking. This is going to go hand in hand where A&M's defense, their ability to disguise things, both on the defensive line to confuse Mizzou's offensive line, and disguising coverages between mixing up man and zone, and which is it? No, it looks like zone, but wait a minute, it's actually man, and disguising who's blitzing, all that. That's going to be Mike Elko and the defensive coaching staff cooking up something to try and just leave Zollers out there with his eyes spinning around, just trying to figure out what's going on.
Well, and let's face it, with Peribula, he struggled reading defenses just as well. Don't forget, he only started what 7 games for
Yeah.
Mizzou. So as a starter in general, so this is nothing new. What's going to be interesting is to see how quick Zollers can read the defenses and get that ball out. Because when Vanderbilt was giving them all kinds of pressure, that pure pocket passer ability really came in, and you could see him with his footwork take a step to the left or right to avoid a rush, and then he was able to run around back there, make people miss, extend plays, and then find while looking downfield. That ability, I think, is what's going to really propel him in this game if Mizzou has a shot.
Yeah, and that is kind of the caveat to kind of talking down on Mizzou's pass blocking is Prebula kind of looked for read number 1, and if it wasn't there, his eyes dropped and he was kind of looking to scramble and perhaps take off. With Zollers, yeah, there is absolutely a difference where it is one step left, it is one step right. Maybe he steps up in the pocket more effectively, and maybe proper mechanics in that regard helps in terms of time in a way where Perbula takes off and runs right into a sack. Maybe. I don't think you cannot count on that, I don't think, being the big difference, and suddenly Zollers is going to have all day and throw for 300 yards. I don't think you can expect that. Um, but hey, it's worth noting with this A&M defense, if there is a spot where they aren't as lethal, it is run defense. So if Missouri can get some run blocking going, you know, Ahmad Hardy could be Matt Zollers' best friend. That would be enormous.
Yeah, for reference, they're ranked right in the middle of the pack of the SEC in run defense. I think they're seventh. It looks like they were tied for eighth, something like that. So, yes, if you're looking for any type of weakness on that defense, if Mizzou can get that running game going, and it might help with a better passing quarterback as well, because now you can really work that play action downfield as well. It could keep A&M honest and maybe take some of that pressure off Zollers.
Yeah. One thing that's not going to help Matt Zollers is I seriously question if Robbie Meyer will see the field again aside from extra points.
Yeah.
I legitimately don't know if Missouri attempts a field goal the rest of the season unless it's inside 35 yards and like game situation dictates. And you know what I mean, where you got 4th and 12 but you're at the 17-yard line. All right, fine. Well, maybe you try it then, especially if it ties the game or gives you the lead or whatever. Other than that, I don't think Mizzou's trying to field goal the rest of the year.
Yeah, and I don't blame them unless they
No,
randomly
there's not.
unless they
What can you do?
got a soccer player over the bye week and decide to throw them in there.
Or they grab somebody from the Jeff Wolford diving school.
Or they pulled that kid off of College Game Day from 2 weeks ago in Vanderbilt.
Yeah, I got him to transfer real quick. A&M offense. Marcel Reed is the guy, and another quarterback that, yeah, maybe not the front runner for the Heisman, but he's put himself in the conversation. Marcel Reed is kind of doing it all for the Aggies. I've got it in the ticker. I'm going off the top of my head here. 1976 passing yards and pretty good amount of touchdown passes. I think it's 17. It's in the ticker.
17 touchdown passes, 6 interceptions.
Yeah. You got 349 yards rushing, 5.5 per.
Yeah.
So, yeah, true dual threat. And honestly, there's not much of a secret to this A&M offense. You have Marcel Reed, and he's got 2 targets that they have more than half of A&M's total receptions as a team in Mario Craver and KC Concepcion. Those 2 guys. I think a lot of people talked about Auburn having the best combination of receivers in the SEC back in August, and we're seeing no, it might actually be these pair from College Station, and yeah, Marcel Reed's getting them the ball and letting them do their thing.
Well, and I've been looking at the game log. Reed is not too much of a runner. He had 108 against LSU, but other than that, he averaged about 50 a game for the most part. So he's one of those guys who will stay in the pocket and try to find his receivers until he has to move. But he can move. So it's going to be interesting to see how Mizzou plays him And do you double coverage the two top receivers and play man on the rest, or is this one of those games where you let the defensive ends try get to him, put pressure on him, and force him to move around, and that could change up the game. So it's going to be real interesting to see how Mizzou's defense attacks Marcel Reed and this Aggie offense.
Frankly, playing Pavia 2 weeks ago, I think there's some similarities there in terms of escapability, mobility in general. So I think there are lessons from that game to be taken into this, at least to some extent. The fact that Pavia did nothing with his legs. I think he was 21 yards rushing or something.
Yeah, Mizzou had him shut down completely with his
Yeah,
legs.
that 21 yards rushing was not on like one or two carries. It was on like 10. Um, it's encouraging. Reed may run wild, but we're reaching a point where you just trust the Missouri defense that the opposing offense is going to have a harder time than normal. Now, that said, this A&M offense is the one team that has lit up the Auburn defense. We saw how good that unit is. The final score of that game was only 16-10, but if going back to the box score here, it's it's the one game where Auburn got really pulling it up here. It was like 150 yards of offense, something that A&M had against the Aggies here. Totally 414. 414. Yeah, either way, A&M's the only team to crack 400 yards against the Auburn defense, and I think that means something because Mizzou has experienced the Auburn defense. It's not fun, but A&M did not struggle that much. Now, what if Missouri's going to pull this upset, David? What what's kind of a key or a strategy that you would like to see Mizzou go with?
I would say not necessarily key or strategy, excuse me, but I would say the biggest key for this is you got to keep the offense on the field.
Yeah,
So what I mean by that is they can't have two or three series in a row of just three and outs. That's going to kill your defense, and it's going to allow the Aggies to set up some sort of rhythm on offense. I've seen it in a couple of games this year where Mizzou's had three or four straight series of three and outs, and it allows whoever they're playing to get a couple of drives down the field. They're not right now. I don't think Mizzou's equipped to pull off a major comeback based off Zollers, just because we don't know enough about him yet running this offense. So my key to this game is trying to control the clock and staying on the field and keeping your defense fresh, because your defense is going to win you this game if you're going to win this game.
yeah. For me, I want to see a home run ball the first play of the game. I want to see it. Maybe it hits and the place is losing their mind, and all of a sudden you got momentum and belief. But even if you don't hit, if Zollers throws it 50 yards downfield, then it's a competitive pass that just happens to fall incomplete. Even that is something Missouri has not shown really since the Kansas game.
Mm.
So yeah, honestly not much at all year. If nothing else, A&M safeties might say, "Hey, wait a minute, I remember that play," and even that incomplete pass could help loosen up the defense. Because the last few weeks we've seen it, teams are just loading the box and saying, "All right, Ahmad Hardy, you will not beat us." And A&M is going to say, "All right, Matt Zollers, show us you can play it as an SEC quarterback." A&M will make Matt Zollers be the reason that Missouri wins. And that's something that I think Missouri has to understand and accept. And hitting a deep throw early, I think, would be gigantic. So that, and then otherwise, yes. I'd especially if Zollers is struggling or not as almost automatic like he was in the Vandy game. I am slowing this game down, shortening it with just. I'm honestly think Drake basketball in that awful tournament game.
Yeah.
I'm playing that kind of offense.
35 seconds on the play clock and then snapping the ball.
Yeah, if Missouri's offense is struggling, I would do that.
Make sure you eat a couple minutes off each drive if you can. If you get like a 17 play drive, try go the whole quarter if you can.
Yeah, because and see a drive like that. Yes, Zollers did stuff like that against Vandy, but you cannot assume it. It's not fair to him. So, all that, David. Let's get to predictions here. Going back to Vandy, that was our first time picking differently. Regrettably, I was correct. So I'm 8-0. I'm 5-2-1 against the spread. You took your first L of the season. You are 4-3-1 against the spread, still over 500. For me, I think Missouri's going to move the ball a little bit. I just don't know how many times they're going to get in a position to actually finish drives. I think it's going to be a lot like Vandy, where they get to midfield, maybe even past midfield, and then it stalls out. And because you don't have a field goal kicker, you're going for fourth downs where you don't want to. I think it's going to be that kind of game. I think eventually Missouri's defense will, loosen up a little bit just because they're put in some bad positions, maybe a turnover even. I'm going to go ahead and pick Texas A&M to win this one 26-14.
So I am taking Texas A&M as well, and there's a couple reasons why. Texas A&M is that type of SEC team that's good all around, but not great in like one or two areas. They're just an all around really good team. But the key thing here is they don't make mistakes.
Yes.
They're a low penalty team. They don't turn the ball over a whole lot, and they just kind of wait teams out until they make their mistakes and then they capitalize. And Mizzou is, for the most part, a solid team, but they can be quite undisciplined on both sides of the ball in terms of committing stupid penalties or just penalties in general. So I've seen it both in the Vandy game and some other games where they'll get called for like an unsportsmanlike conduct or a tripping call, if you will. Just random stuff that you don't see much, but they do make the mistake and it has to be called. So those are drive killers or drive sustainers if you're on defense and you commit some type of penalty to keep a drive going, that are backbreakers for Missouri, especially with the team they're playing against like this. So I have Texas A&M winning 35-21, and it'll be a good game. I just don't think Mizzou has enough right now, especially with Zollers getting his first full start, to pull off the upset. But they have the game at home, which is going to help. And
it is a revenge game too.
Yeah, they remember the game from last year, and quite honestly, I think Zollers is going to come out on fire and do whatever he can to keep this thing going. So it's going to be an interesting one, and hopefully I'm taking another loss on my prediction, and we see
what a story it'd be across the SEC and really all college football if Zollers throws for 250 plus and Mizzou wins. That'd be top story.
It really would be, and I'd be loving every minute of it. Do I think it'll happen? There's a slim chance, but you never know because they're at home. Anything could happen. But whatever happens, we're here for it, and we'll keep you guys updated all things Mizzou. So, as always, thank you for watching.